All right, time now for the day's business news with Kate Moody, who's here with us. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jeannie.
Let's start with a look at the largest ever proposed free trade deal, the one between the EU and the United States, but it's hit a stumbling block.
Yeah, exactly. The European Parliament has indefinitely postponed a key vote on that free trade deal, which is known as TTIP. Instead of allowing a vote on the EU's negotiating position, European lawmakers are instead just debating the proposals. This after more than 200 complaints or amendments were tabled. Mark Thompson explains.
A proposal as divisive inside the European Parliament as it is on the streets outside. Pressure from NGOs and members of the Socialists and Democrats group in Strasbourg has led to a vote on the controversial Transatlantic Trade Pact to be indefinitely postponed. Parliamentary leaders had hoped to agree on a resolution to back the European Commission talks on Wednesday. Inundated by hundreds of amendments from MEPs, those plans have been scuppered, a sign of how controversial TTIP has become.
I'm scared when I see the two extremes here in the semicircle. The far right and the far left are standing together, and also the Greens are going with them. That really does worry me.
The pact would encompass a third of all world trade. Among the criticisms, worries US multinationals will be able to challenge EU laws restricting commerce. Farmers are concerned Europe's superior food standards could end up hurting them.
Take animal welfare. The density here is regulated, and there are quality controls in slaughterhouses. If we don't meet those standards, we're penalized, and we have to reduce the amount of chickens on the farm.
But TTIP does have the backing of some business leaders who say that not signing such a deal could hurt Europe in the long run. US President Barack Obama and German Chancellor Angela Merkel called for a rapid conclusion to trade talks at the G7 summit earlier this week.
Now, from one trade deal that's floundering to another that's flourishing, this one in Africa.
Yeah, the leaders of 26 African nations are in Egypt, laying the groundwork to sign a deal for an African free trade zone. Now, it'll represent 60% of African GDP and a bit over half the population. Earlier, I spoke to our correspondent in Cairo, Sharif Abdel Kudus, to find out just what the deal will encompass.
The pact is expected to boost trade between member states by streamlining clearance procedures and by dramatically reducing customs fees by over 50%. So essentially, we would convert the three African trade blocs into a single customs union by 2017. It brings together a disparate group of nations at different stages of development. So it includes countries like Egypt and South Africa that are among the continent's wealthiest nations, alongside countries like Angola, Kenya, and Ethiopia that have experienced strong economic growth in recent years, and it includes some of the world's poorest nations like Burundi and Madagascar.
All right, next let's turn to Greece, where the ongoing negotiations with international creditors to release a bailout fund seems to be facing another setback.
Yeah, if it seems possible. The Greek government submitted yet another round of fresh reform proposals earlier this week, describing how it plans to end austerity measures, but still cover a funding gap and pay its bills. Now, in the last hour or so, we've just heard from a European Commission spokesman who said that this is once again not enough, that the latest proposals fall short of what Athens has promised. Alexis Tsipras, Angela Merkel and François Hollande are among the key players in these discussions. They're all attending an EU Latin American summit in Brussels today, so this certainly could come up for discussion. Remember, Athens has to pay over €1.5 billion to the IMF at the end of the month.
And the clock is certainly ticking on that. How have the markets been reacting today?
Well, this sort of uncertainty about Greece was really weighing on the Asian markets earlier in the day. We saw red across the board there. Investors here in Europe seeming to shrug off those concerns a little bit after a negative start. The major indices have actually turned upwards midway through the trading day. Some strong retail results pushing stocks into the green there. The exception, of course, as you might expect, is the Athens Stock Exchange, which has had a pretty rocky session. It's rebounded now a little bit, but still down a little over 0.5%.
All right, Kate, let's just wrap up on a musical note where the streaming musical service Spotify is gearing up for a big battle with Apple's brand new service.
Yeah, Apple unveiled its new streaming service earlier this week, and Spotify has lost no time at all in upping its game. It's gotten a fresh round of funding, more than $500 million. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which says it brings Spotify to a valuation of $8.4 billion. That's up from just $5 billion last September. Now, a number of investors are believed to have contributed, but there's only one that's been confirmed. It's the Nordic telecom company TeliaSonera. There are a growing number of competitors in this industry, including Pandora and Jay-Z's new service Tidal. So Spotify is certainly trying to fill up its war chest, if you will, and protect its considerable corner of the music streaming market.
All right, Kate Moody, thank you so much for that look at music and business, as well as the entire business world. Thank you so much.